week with the boat out of the water with obvious keel damage, awaiting inspection and repairs. It's a very anxious time for our boat and for us.
So we're going into the yard for a couple of weeks, get this work done. The mast's up at the yard, ready for some work. We haven't actually started work on it yet, and we'll see how they're doing. It's a long mast when you walk down it. We've got some work to do here. I want to try and improve the cable situation here, see if I can improve that. And then the foil needs a look at, and I've got to replace the bulb here, and that's also going to be a replacement for a LED light. And there's also a bit of movement in the holes on this. Mary's just watering the chain. A bit of a clean. Just needs to get all the salt off it that's accumulated. We're probably going to just paint the marks again. Chain's starting to come to the end of its galvanised life, so I'll have to think about when.
Invest in a stainless steel one day, maybe.
Maybe one day when we're really rich.
So we have a scaffold around the keel just to support it when the hull gets lifted off. So the guys from Peninsular Marine Services arrived to size up the head of the nuts on the keel bolts for tools to remove them.
So floorboards are up again. Boys have been in checking the sizes of the keel bolts, which are way down in there. It's a long way down to these keel bolts. And we've got different spanners and extensions and all sorts of sockets and things. See if they can get things moving. Yep, some big spanners coming up. Don't think they're going to be any use because it's too far down the bilge to get them in. The big boats and crews are going back in today. Look how flat the tyres are on the transporter. Must be some load on that. There's a big boy. Must be on the upper limits of what they can lift.
And in other more minor tasks, we remove an old window that's cracked.
So we've fitted a new deck hatch over the head. It's the old one was cracked.
And replace it with a new sparkly shiny one.
Yeah, so this is the remaining fairlead job. This one's well bent, as you can see. So I've got to fit a new one in here. And the other three were relatively easy access. This one is horrible access. So I've had to remove the main exhaust outlet and all these bits that are around here. And this one is the generator output as well. So I've got to get in through this hole here and then reach right round the corner, right across into here. Is about half a metre from the line where that back end of the solar arch is. And my little armies are just not long enough, so it's going to be a real struggle. So I may have to wait till Mary comes back on Sunday to hold the other end of this so I can actually tighten it down. It's a bit tricky. What I'll do is I'll fit it at the top here, dry fit it, get everything in place, and then when Mary comes back she can hold the screwdriver at the top or whatever it is. I think it's a flathead screw, and I'll try and get a nut on the underside and then see if I can reach it with my arm and a long handled spanner with maybe a bit of tape to hold it in place till I get it on the threads. Tricky. You have to think about these things when you're doing boat jobs. Nothing is very simple. Mary's back from batch cooking, and the next job is to fit this fairlead in this hole here. So I've got all the butyl sealant on it. I've got washers with butyl on the back of them. so I can put those on. Problem is I'm struggling to reach the back of this, so my able assistant here is going to be using, what have you got? You've got a flathead screwdriver and a spanner to hold the
Adjustable
other end.
spanner.
So we're going to put this in here and see what's what. Get this done.
Okay, so this is Akita's waiting for tomorrow morning. They've loosened I've taken off the watch grip bolts, the locking bolts, lock nuts. They've taken them off. They've loosened the underneath ones. The hoist is ready to lift us and to gently drop the keel. Apparently, you might even go straight back on again. So we'll wait and see in the morning. I hope it stays nice like this anyway. We're off to the pub tonight and then off to the fireworks on Bill and Sarah's boat, another Oyster.
Remove the bolts that go through the shoe for the skeg. So this is made of bronze. These are stainless, and then the rest of it is glass, solid glass, I think. But the problem was we were seeing water seeping out of here, out of this joint, that the surveyor picked up quite a long time ago, and we were told to just keep an eye on it. And as we came out of the water this time, there was definitely a little bit of movement in here. We'll get that cleaned up. To get this off, we need to drop the rudder, which has this shoe on it. That all comes off the bottom of there, and then we can re-bed that and then lift the whole thing back up again.
Just that one there, I'd pop that off to there.
Oh, the sensor for the pilot, yeah. Video on you here.
Carry on.
Which is your best side?
Well, this side, yeah. This side.
Okay. The oysters of this age have a greased stern tube for the rudder. You can see where the grease comes out, so there's a little pressure pump, little screw down valve that pumps it into that and keeps the joint well oiled. You've got to remember to do it every few days.
I'm leaving it up, so if this lifts up, then she's find a way of just grabbing hold of this, and I'll whip it out and it will drop down. Right, up again, ready? 3, 2, down. How long's the shaft? It came through that much.
I don't know what the cause of it was, but it's certainly had water in there by the look of it. We'll clean it off, and we're going to get cleaned it off and put some new filler in there. Plenty of grease on the shaft, so it's not dried. That looks okay. I've been looking at one of Zingaro's videos, and this is a glass fibre block that's screwed into the end of here, we think. It's the same as this boat. But all the weight comes on this truss washer and the bronze casting. The rock jumped out in front of us, honest officer. So that's exposed this end of the rudder heel. There's 2 areas where you fill, and there must be a captive nut in a captive bolt in the end of, well, captive nut in the end of here, and then a bolt that goes into it through there that holds this block on the end here, so I can see what's going on. Stub on the skeg is cleaned. That looks okay. And then the rudder itself, we've got this block off the corner. A little bit of water leaking out of here, so we're going to stand it up on its end and see if anything comes out, but I think it's going to be okay. And then this block, so this block actually fits on here with a couple of long bolts that go in there. Some more filler in here to go. Start to fill it up anyway.
Yeah, then sand it flat and then fill again. Yeah. When I sand it, I'll sand it to paint off here.
Yeah.
Because we only need 1 fill, so I'll just do that in the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's sand.
And in other news, the mast work continues with work on the foil.
When we had a snag in the foil,
and Pete up in Inverness trimmed this off from inside the slot. So we're going to move that up and reposition it so that it put another rivet in it, stop it moving around. So it should be good to go. It's quite a long piece of foil.
Yeah, at the moment we're just going to sort of see how the grease is all built up. We're just going to try and take it apart. There's a little bit of play in it, so we'll have a look, see if it needs any shims or not. But yeah, just going to start stripping it down.
Cool. It's been greased, but I don't think when the sail's been down, I've been able to get at it.
Yeah. So that'll be like through the grease points.
Yeah.
So what happens over time, that just goes hard,
Yeah.
like congeals really. So what we do is take it over to the parts wash, strip it all down fully, clean all the bearings, all the races, make sure there's no scoring in there, and then yeah, start the rebuild. Fresh grease.
Yeah.
And hopefully have a bit
A question mark over this fitting because see inside here you can see the flattening there that's going on. So this isn't a continuous shroud, it's actually discontinuous. So it's been putting extra load onto that lower shroud, whereas the shroud up here is continuous, so it goes through here, and this cap goes onto the top here and clamps it onto the end of the spreader once the mast's up.
Put the bar in it. Snitching.
Yep.
Stuff, is he?
Yep.
Okay. Lift him up. Yeah. Okay.
Done them to me.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
is
one's
that
all the
one
way
up?
up, eh?
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Quite a useful little thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, that's quite nifty, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you
So that's the keel bolts loosened. That's the big one that we were waiting for the spanner for. These are the smaller ones that are in there, so we'll clean them up before they go back in. The aft bolts were really tight, and then I think there's one up here and two that weren't particularly tight as they took them off. That's this size. So that may have been one of the reasons why everything moved, or it could have been a result of. We'll just have to wait and see when everything comes off. So they don't tighten they just loosen the bolts, the nuts enough so that it will move but won't fall off when the crane lifts it. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. We're in a skull, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll be in the yard.
We'll be in the Olympics shortly.
Yes, moving on it. So you take on it, is it? Yeah.
That's us all ready to lift.
There's boys in the boat doing the keel bolts. There's boys down here taking all the props away. So apparently we're being lifted up. And the keel's being lowered. And we'll see what's going to happen. Oh, mind your head! That's not tied on to... That's going to take a while.
The keel's on the point of coming off. It's not going, it's opening front and back of the keel, but not in the middle.
I'll just give it a nut left at the back.
Let's hear it cracking a little bit along the joint.
See it going.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm just going to lift it at the back. You've got ever so small gap. Alright. There you go.
Yeah, these wedges are moving onto this side.
It is. You want the bigger hammer?
I don't trust you with that.
Oi! I could only ever miss once.
Oh shit, it's definitely going.
I'll get this one.
You're getting daylight. Here she comes.
They're all off, cracked and moved, and it's been stuck with epoxy or something very strong, and it's actually been lifting off some of the glass that's in there. I'll have to get back into that. So hull and keel parts to go their different ways. The keel is a solid piece of lead with threaded bronze studs screwed into plates cast into the lead bowl. Ours is going to need some cleanup and filling where the wedges were used to separate it from the stub. Once the hull had been secured and stabilised, work began on the underside of the keel stub to see what damage had been done. She's looking a bit shorter with the keel off. But we're glad we got that done today. Going to the fireworks now, and the weather looks not too bad. Work on the keel, cleaning the keel joint up, has revealed some delamination in some areas, so we're going to have to go and do some further work to dig into that and remove it and then rebuild it. We are then lifted yet again and moved up to the big shed to get the work on the keel done.
Need more height so they can get underneath it and to keep it dry.
A tight squeeze going through the gates. They've stripped our mast. All the fittings are still on. Shows you how much movement there is in the spreaders. Whether that's good or bad. We've changed out the light fitting in the deck light, and I need to do this one as well. And we put new bolts in here as well, because this was wobbling around a lot. It's all sorted. This could be a source for leakage in the down the mast, so we might need to clean that up and do something with that. So this is in the shed, the naughty shed. The white areas on the keel here are indications that there may be some delamination going on. In order to keep the humidity levels down and reduce the dust, the Peninsular built a cover around everything under the keel and extracted the air outside, so you get rid of all the glass fibre. We get a new cover for the dinge. That should be good. So the boys are cutting patterns for bits that need to go in the keel.
Right.
This looks like pretty complicated.
Yeah, there's definitely that we've got to
Wow.
it's all lined up, literally.
So some big thick fiberglass mats going in here. These are really thick stuff. Well, that was a very stressful couple of weeks for us. I certainly had a pretty heavy heart. How about you?
Well, it was me who hit the keel in the first place, but we had to keep trying to find a different socket set that will actually fit the top of the nuts in the keel, which took longer than we thought.
Yeah,
definitely.
We're probably a week waiting for that.
And then they took the rudder off before they started.
Well, then they
on the
started
keel.
splitting the keel, and that was just torture, because it took them 4.5 hours.
She wasn't giving up easy. She wasn't
Nothing
dropping.
was moving. We thought, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. But eventually, the team managed to get it off.
We parted company, got lifted off.
Yeah, the keel fell off. It was quite spectacular when it happened, actually.
Creaks and groans.
And then, of course, we cleaned it up and we found further delamination under the keel. And that was bad news. We didn't really want to hear that. We hoped to just rebed it and put it back on.
But we got moved to the naughty shed. Well, technically it's not naughty shed, but we got moved into the shed and we weren't allowed to stay on the boat then, so we had to find somewhere else to stay. And we found an old ERF lorry, which the back end of it had been converted into like a bed and a kitchen bit, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice.
They brought us breakfast every morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did have a few worries that don't really come out on the video, but the keel bolts, the keel studs themselves, one of them actually pulled out, or it didn't pull out, but it unscrewed. So when we took the nuts off, it actually brought
inside the keel. Yeah.
And we were worried that wasn't going to go back in properly. And then the main, the stern bolt also had to come out to be. It's part of taking the keel off. You got to take that off because it's a bit exposed. But at that point, once we got in the shed, we got the re-lamination done, so the glass fibre work under there started. We were working on, or the team was working on, at Hemisphere was working on the rigging. So yeah, things were moving on.
So yeah, as you said, we got brand new rigging, so the whole mast is re-rigged, and all our running rigging, yes, the whole lot was done. And then we had a dinghy cover made, so when we go across the Atlantic we can put all our waste bags in the dinghy without worrying about them blowing out and drifting off in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
So that was another good job done.
Yeah, we did manage to get a few jobs done in the meantime, the anchor and the chain and a few deck fittings and things. But it was probably our darkest hour of owning the boat.
I also did all the anti-fouling as well.
So we did get the jobs we've done we needed, and we had the seacocks changed, 2 new seacocks. But we prevailed. The team at Peninsular and at Hemisphere were really good and helped us out, so thanks to them via this video. And next time on the video we follow a little bit further along this process of rebuilding the keel, getting the
Putting us
boat back
back
on the
together.
keel, putting us back together, and then relaunching it, and then you get to see some of our sparkly new rigging.
Yeah, so until next time, fair winds and following seas from the Canaries. We technically this time next week we're actually be underway going across the Atlantic. So we say bye for now.
Bye for now.